Okay, everybody, it is very late, so we have mood lighting tonight. Do you like it? Do you like it? My voice is also deep and sultry because my throat was blown out in not in that way, but I had a great time at KCD Fan Fest. This sounds sexual. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna move forward. I'm losing my voice. I'm afraid, and so I'm gonna film this before I can't talk anymore. A bunch of you guys have reached out and asked me to react and look at something that just happened with Star Citizen because we talk about Star Citizen a good amount. I'm sorry, this chair is super creaky. I'm gonna try to stay still. We talk about Star Citizen a lot because it's fascinating. It is, at this point, it has already surpassed over $1 billion in fundraising. This was started in December, I believe, of 2012. There still is not officially a game out, and they are over $1 billion deep in this. It's mind blowing. And what we're going to look at today is a kind of personification and like perfect example of the problems within Star Citizen, and really just goes to show what it has unfortunately become. Now, I think the reason you guys recently reached out and asked me to look at this is because while it happened about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, it started to pick up traction and it kind of broke into the mainstream of gaming discourse after being pretty well relegated to the Star Citizen community. It's broken containment, and now everybody's talking about it. Moist Critical, I believe, just made a video on it as well, which is why people are talking about it, even a week and a half after it happened. Now, what happened? Well, Star Citizen, we all know, they have two versions of it. They have the Persistent Universe, and then they have the Squadron 42 single-player campaign mode. That is allegedly launching this year. Allegedly, it was supposed to launch, well, technically back like 10 years ago. But besides that, it was supposed to launch in 2025. And then it was supposed to, I was like, why are my eyes hurting? I'm not wearing my glasses, that's why. It was supposed to launch like 10 years ago. After all of that goes by, they do eventually delay it, and then they say, okay, for real this time, we're ready. It's going to launch 2025. That's delayed. 2026. For real this time. Pinky promise. Now it's going into like August. We're about to hit September, and there's still no release date, no marketing cycle, nothing. It looks like it's going to be delayed again. But what they were showcasing in this stream was the other side of it, the Persistent Universe multiplayer live content, live service side of the game. It was supposed to be a 2-hour stream where they showcased the strength of Robert Space Industries, the space or strength of the team, and some of the new content. Like, they wanted to show where that $1 billion is going, right? It's supposed to be an advertisement for their work, right? Like, they're trying to showcase it. And they had 2 hours to do it. And the way they did it was by getting a bunch of devs together. They sat at computers around a table together in sort of an old school LAN party setup. And they started playing together on a private company exclusive set of servers. So this is not like a public test server. This is not like public servers where they're super unstable. This was not a public like DDoSing or anything. None of that happened here. They had complete control of what was about to happen. They start playing, and within, I'm not joking, like 5 minutes of playing, they are already encountering crazy bugs. Everything from like doors not working properly, inventory breaking, NPCs not behaving at all or accurately. They had, of course, just like AI pathing issues. They had quests breaking. They had soft locks, weapons that endlessly reloaded. Like, you name it, they probably found that bug 15 times in this 2-hour span across everybody playing. It was an unmitigated disaster, and honestly, it's hard to watch. Like, I get a little schadenfreude joy out of cringe compilations, I'll confess. I like watching those old compilations of like Minecon, whatever it's called, and it's just shocking. You know, old school E3 highlight reels. I love that stuff. I love it. I find it so entertaining. This is a different kind of cringe. Like, this is cringe that makes you just instantly develop heartburn. Like, it's hard to watch, honestly, because you know that they know how bad this is going and they can't do anything about it. They're just stuck. They're screwed. There's nothing you can do. And they just have to make it 2 hours, right? And that's what they did. They tried to push on through. Eventually, towards the end, you can tell they've almost hit the two hour mark. They're at about an hour 40, hour 45. They're so close. And then they hit a wall where there's just no progress to be made, where there's nothing you can do. and they're effectively soft locked. They didn't know what to do. They kind of look around and they don't know what to do. And then this moment, which is quickly turning into a meme, happened where one of the big guys in charge, the kind of boss man in charge of everything apparently, comes over and says this.
At this point, we're at time, guys.
Yeah. Oh, right, fair enough. We lost.
Wow.
So, we're at time. It's your show. Wrap it up.
Like, it's hard to watch, dude. Like, it's really hard to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some strong words, some yelling that happened after this. Because it was just being real. Like, it was embarrassing. Like, it was so bad. It was so broken. And it was supposed to be a showcase. And I think everybody knew how bad and broken it was. And unfortunately, this is just kind of what Star Citizen has become. It's that game that has raised a ton of money and is super broken. And what sucks is that they have accomplished some stuff. Like, as always, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Some people misunderstand Star Citizen and think that they've raised $1 billion and there's literally nothing to show for it. That they have gotten to this point and they're like, yeah, we're totally working on a game, with like trailers dropping occasionally. That's not what's happening here. This is not like a day before situation. You remember that game from like a year or two ago? It feels like forever ago, but I'm sure it wasn't that far back. But the day before was this like zombie post-apocalyptic game. It was supposed to be the next big thing. It was the most wish-listed game on all of Steam for a while. And they had all these trailers that just looked too good to be true. We were like, what is happening? And then it turns out, after it launches, the dev team didn't really exist. They were a team of volunteers, apparently, and it was all just like free assets flipped. Like, it wasn't a real game at all. There was nothing there. That is not what's happened here. That is not what happened with Star Citizen. They do have a version of the game you can play. It's the Persistent Universe. You can access it if you buy the like $40 starter whatever kit. So you don't need to spend $1,000 to play, but like 40. They do have free months or free weeks where you can play, rather, it's not months, it's free weeks. But they have time periods where you can play for free and try it yourself without spending money. So it's accessible, you can get in there without spending an arm and a leg. But it's buggy, it's broken. A lot of it doesn't work, a lot of it is not feature complete. The current version of the game is rife with all sorts of bugs, not just like performance issues, but also like simple things like cargo elevators don't work properly, which is pretty important if you're doing anything with your ship, transporting goods back and forth, etc., etc. Like, it's still horrifically broken. And so they do have something to show for it, and a lot of it is cool. They do have their like shard server technology working, they have persistent entity streaming working, they've got a lot of amazing stuff. But the common perception of Star Citizen is very much raised $1 billion, aren't releasing anything, and they charge like $1,000 for ships, and somebody out there is buying it. And that's going to be really tough for them to shake that reputation if they ever do. I'm not sure if they care about shaking that reputation. It seems like they're pretty well comfortable with it. But I think that this all kind of stacks up into a really fascinating reflection on this whole thing. You see, the people who are really into Star Citizen, and I've met a number of them, you guys might know I've done streams where we've played it live on stream. We actually did one stream a couple of years ago where we played it, and I got a bunch of you guys involved who play Star Citizen a lot, and we all met on a planet. Everybody landed their ships on that planet. Everybody, like, just working seamlessly. Everybody showed up, and everybody showcased their favorite ships that they own, and we looked at them. We hopped in one. We had a space funeral because a guy died when a ship was landing, so we brought his body up into the hangar of the ship. We went into the atmosphere, and then we dropped it and let it burn up in the atmosphere. It was honestly pretty beautiful. It was fun. Like, we made our own fun that day, and it was memorable. Obviously, I can still remember it. And like, we've had fun before, but what was very clear to me in that moment, and after, you know, subsequent conversations with a lot of people that are into the game, the people who are into Star Citizen, it's their hobby. It's not that they are gamers, it's that Star Citizen is their hobby, which is why they can justify spending so much on it. It's like if you're into golf and you spend $1,000 on a new set of clubs, or potentially a single club. I've seen some of the stuff that's out there. It's crazy. Or if you're really into Magic and you are collecting a bunch of cards, or you're really into Pokemon cards and you are doing crazy I don't know how Pokemon cards work. Like, even if you have another hobby and you're spending that, if that's your hobby, you can justify spending more money on it, which is what a lot of these guys do. A lot of the Star Citizen fan base is older. They're in their 30s to 40s, and they're spending money on the hobby because they have expendable income, and so they can justify spending 200, 300, 400 on a ship because it's their once a year splurge on their hobby, right? And that's kind of what these guys rely on for fundraising every single year. And it's something you see very quickly when you talk to a lot of the Star Citizen fan base, where they will say, for example, you don't need to spend money to have fun in Star Citizen. All you have to do is ask them, okay, how much money have you spent? I guarantee you, like 99% of the time, the response is, well, I've spent a lot, but you don't need to. You know, it's like, well, yes, okay, you got me. I have spent a lot, but you really don't need to have fun. You can have fun without spending money. I have, but you don't have to. And I think that that's the slippery slope. That's the trap. All of these people start with like, I'll just get the $40 starter ship. And then they get a handful of hours in, they realize how much nicer it would be to have the ship with the faster, warp drive, or to have the larger cargo capacity, or the better guns, or whatever. And they say, well, this is, this is pretty ambitious what they're doing, and this is pretty crazy, groundbreaking tech. And I've had a lot of fun with it, and the justifications start going, and then they end up spending $100, and the next time they get the chance, they spend 200 or 300, and then it just goes from there. And that's how they raise $1 billion in 14 years. I mean, it just happens like that, and it creates this really unhealthy relationship where people then, it's the what do they call it? Sunk cost fallacy. It's that idea that I've already spent X amount. If I stop now, it's like it was for nothing, right? Like, nobody wants to do that. So they always are looking for a reason to keep going and to justify more spending, which is just kind of really toxic. And it makes it so situations like this, which frankly for a lot of people should be kind of the last straw. Like, you should see this stuff and be like, okay, call me when the game's done. Like, you would think that most people would react that way. But they don't. Like, a lot of the fan base is kind of making fun of them for this and is poking fun at them. And like I said, it's kind of pierced the public mainstream veil. It's broken containment. Everybody's talking about it now, even outside the Star Citizen bubble. But do they care? Like, they still raised $1 billion. Do they care? Is that going to stop people from buying the $1,000 ships, or the $300 ships, or the $200 ships? Probably not. Like, I don't think they care that much. It's still working. Yes, somebody might have gotten yelled at. Yes, it was embarrassing. That hasn't stopped them before. I mean, it's crazy to say, but this is, in the last 14 years, there's been a lot of showcases, some of which did not go well. They've had plenty of scandals. I mean, in the last 14 years, you think of how much time that is and how many games another studio would put out in that time period. It's kind of crazy how much has happened with just Star Citizen in that time window. But the point of all of this is that it's just a demonstration of what happens when a company's, I think, benefactors, when their customers or supporters, financial backers, when they don't hold the company accountable truly, nothing ever really gets done or changes or improves because there's no pressure to do it. CIG, they know that they can have a stream like this, that this can happen, and they know that they can even launch it in this state, and the fans will go, well, yeah, but it's not done yet. Like, they know that they can get away with it, which is why they're going to continue getting away with it, because they know that they can. If this blew up in their face, if they faced like cyberpunk levels of rebellion and discontentment from their fan base, people, uninstalling, people canceling, their or shutting down their accounts, whatever it may be, that might actually wake them up and go, okay, well, we got to totally fundamentally rethink what we're doing here. But they're not going to do that, I don't think, because this has happened before. We see this and we are like, that's insane. Can you imagine if any other studio did a 2-hour presentation of the game and it was horribly broken? I can. Do you remember a little game called Mind's Eye last year? One of the most memorable games of the year, I'll tell you what. But it had a behind closed door demo, so not as bad as this, but they had a behind closed doors demo where they had producers playing the game live for media. I was not among them, but Mr. Matty Plays and Spawnwave, for example, were there and made videos about their experience. What effectively happened was that they did a live demo of Mind's Eye, and I believe it was Matty mentioned how, no joke, in the time he was watching, there were like 2 separate times where they had to hit tilde and enter into dev commands God mode to finish the mission because it was so broken and so unbalanced, and enemies were too powerful or like had way too much health for that point in the game, that it was unbeatable without toggling God mode. And the game was something like a month away from launch, 3 weeks away from launch. Absolutely insane. But that was behind closed doors. And that gameplay footage was not made public. No one in the public has ever seen that. This was 2 hours fully public and was an unmitigated disaster. And it's for a product that's available for sale right now. Even if the game isn't in 1.0, you can buy it now. They charge thousands of dollars for ships even right now, which is crazy. I mean, thousands, I should be more precise. They charge hundreds and hundreds, and then they have special edition and special ships that can be even more. There's secondary markets where you can spend thousands upon thousands, but I should be precise with my language. Having said that, though, again, I think it's just a prime example of what happens when the audience and the people that are funding the operation don't put their foot down. They know that they're going to get away with this and it's going to continue, and they don't need to do much more because people will continue spending money and continue operating as normal. And it's honestly sad because I think Star Citizen is cool. I think there's a lot of potential there, but I think it's being run by a company that is probably, at this point, I'm looking at it and I'm not sure they're capable of delivering on the promises they've made in a way that will satisfy people at all. Which is why at this point I think Star Citizen is, as a product and as a thing, it's not a video game. It is this weird, like, living, breathing entity that is shapeless and formless. It's just like this amorphous blob, an amoeba that never really takes a firm shape. It's just always there, and it's always kind of changing and constantly wiggling, and that's it. Like, it's never going to become anything else. It's never going to finalize in form and shape. It's just going to always stay like that because it continues to grow as it is, and there's no reason for it to finalize. And that's the bizarre thing about Star Citizen. They have created the situation where they will potentially make more money never finishing the game than if they were to finish, quote unquote, Star Citizen, because they've communicated apparently to the public that they intend, if they hit 1.0, they intend to remove the most egregious monetization schemes within the game, that those were just a means of fundraising to develop the game. And if they hit that point, they won't need the money anymore. I don't believe that's ever going to happen. I mean, honestly, have you ever seen a company that, like, self-sacrificially chooses to stop making money? I don't think so. Just out of the goodness of their heart, I don't think so. I think they're going to keep doing it. And that's why I don't think it'll ever truly be finished. But who knows? Maybe they'll drop Squadron 42 right next to GTA 6. Maybe that's their plan. I don't know. They seem wild enough to do it. It's possible. Never say never. But I'm going to leave it there, my friends. Thank you for chilling with me. I get back at this point, by the time you see this, I think tomorrow I'm back in the States. Time's weird when you're going through time zones. I've been having a great time though, but I'm ready to get home. I'm ready to stream again, to chat. I was able to stream while I was in London a couple of times, but I can't stream in this hotel. The internet is not great, so it is what it is. But I can't wait to get back. I'll be back home for a good long while, and I can't wait to get back into our regularly scheduled programming. And hopefully, you're excited for that too. I've missed you, and I will see you soon. Until next time, my friends, much love, hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.
He took my thing.